Hey everyone, it's time for some more Monster Hunter, and today we are going to be capturing a Kazu. Now, I do want to say that, for the record, I am talking over my previous recording because Kazu is so cursed that it actually corrupted my footage. But even so, Kazu is a monster that does make me a little bit uncomfortable, although there are some new people joining the game quite a bit now, so that is really nice as well. But even so, that said, without any further ado, first of all, thank you everybody so much for all of the support I've been getting recently, once again. But still, without any further ado, let's just go ahead and get right into it. Now, we are going to be capturing a Kazu today, and Kazu is pretty infamous throughout the Monster Hunter community for a variety of reasons. Now, the thing with this quest is you actually got to capture a Kazu instead of killing one, so that does make it a little bit more difficult because Kazu is just a bit of a headache to deal with in general. Now, Kazu is pretty well known for being quite phallic looking. He kind of looks like a part of somebody that you really shouldn't look like. And I do think the devs were deliberately on the nose about it, and I think that is pretty funny. Because basically what's going on is, what the devs did is, they made the Kazu, and even in the newer games, they made it like pulsate, and it's just disgusting, and I hate it. But when they made the Kazu, basically what they did was they had to have 3 items: a flabby hide, an electro sac, and a Pell extract. Now, I will say there really won't be anything to this video besides me just kind of cutting it down because we are currently having our internet, like modem, router, whatever, upgraded because our old one was quite damaged and the wires were a little finicky and stuff. So we are having a guy come out today and fix that. So hopefully, maybe, if everything goes well, I could probably even start streaming. But even so, we're just going to want to come out here and actually beat the Kazu. Now, I did want to give it a couple of minutes in case some stragglers wanted to join, and somebody actually did join. I believe it was Marina. Thankfully, we had a gunner to kind of give us a hand. Gunner's always useful for a capture quest because they can get the trank bullets, rounds, whatever, while we get the trank bombs. And of course, the trank rounds are much more reliable to hit instead of the trank bombs. Now, of course, going into the quest, I thought Kazu was going to spawn in, like, Area 11 or Area 7, but I was completely wrong. Ice Storm was actually somebody who's good to follow because he kind of knows where everybody is. Seems like Ice Storm is quite well versed in this game. But basically, what's going on is Kazu spawns in Area 8. I don't figure that out until the next mission when I get a Cyclo Serum. And before anybody says anything, I did have my weapon as the Vile Serpent Blade because in the last mission, I actually forgot to changed the weapon back out for, not the last mission, the last video I did, that 45-second video, I changed it for that screenshot for the Vile Serpent Blade so I could say, you know, make this weapon in order to beat single player, basically. But after this quest, of course, I do manage to change it back to the Red Wing. I am probably going to give up on the Rathalos grind, maybe. We'll see for the Rathalos. I do want that Rathalos strip, but I also really want to get to Monster Hunter G before Wild comes out. As I said before, though, I did go and try to find the Kazu, and Ice Storm was right on the money. So I was just off wandering and for no reason. Of course, like I said, though, Marina did join, and I did make things quite a bit easier. A couple of things to keep in mind about Kazu, though. The first thing is he is a lightning-based monster, like a lightning element monster. He does like electric attacks, lightning attacks. He's a thunder Pokemon or whatever, electric Pokemon. That's the words. But basically, if you see him covering himself in like a blue aura, he's about to do an electric like area of effect pulse attack on his body, and you're gonna want to dodge out the way whenever you can. And if he actually has this glowing orb in his mouth that he's about to spit out, he's going to do like a spit attack. And for both attacks, he actually plants his tail on the ground. He kind of suctions himself to the spot. Although I never really knew the lore reason for that. I need to look up some lore on Kazu. Of course, he is also quite stretchy. He does do bite attacks where he stretches his neck out in quite the uncomfortable way. And he'll actually bite you that way. And his last move, or not his last move, his next last move but his last unique move is like this tackle. He'll kind of like wind up an attack and then like leap towards somebody. And I do believe this is his highest damaging attack, so just be ready to dodge out the way or block whenever he does do that attack. Now, the thing about Kazu, like I said before though, is he does have the Pell Extract, Flabby Hide, and Electro Orbs. I really don't think the devs could be more on the nose unless they actually called it sticky white stuff like they did in Demon Souls instead of calling it, Pell Extract. Now, in the Demon Souls remake, I do think they changed it, though, because they felt a little too on the nose, or, people are just taking it out of context for all the wrong reasons. I don't know, maybe they just did it for optics. I know Blue Point is known for kind of being a bit more aware in terms of, the Western society and how they perceive certain words and phrases, because I can't remember if Blue Point's a Western-based team, but at the very least they are more aware of their, societal norms and cultures and stuff of the Western audience. Although, I'm going to say, come on, really? You couldn't leave it as sticky white stuff? That was such a funny joke. Still, the thing about Kazu is, oh yeah, his last move, he can actually do this tail spin, and I never really understood, but like Kazu and Basarios, they have this little tail spin with their tiny little stubby tails, and that always just made me laugh because it just looks ridiculous, but even so, it does do damage, and you can't get hit by it if you're too close, so just, yeah, be mindful of the tail. The thing about Kazu, though, is his tail is actually the hardest part of the reason, and like I said, I never really looked up any sort of, Kazu lore, so I never really understood why that was the case. Now, when in this attempt, we did unfortunately fail. Marina did get knocked out a couple of times, and unfortunately, I was the one who got knocked out last. The Kazu actually managed to take me out when my health was, I think I had at least half health whenever it happens, but even so, it did disappoint me quite a bit. Now, whenever we did start our next mission, we actually had a new guy show up, and I believe this guy is called Search. And Search was very new. He was actually naked. He had no armor, no pants, no clothes. And I didn't really want to exclude him from the quest, because at that very moment, he was the only one in, although somebody named, Artilo, something like that, joined the town right as we all readied up and were about to go on the quest. And I was about to tell Search to join him, but then I was like, well, I don't want to exclude him from the quest or anything, so I was just like, yeah, dude, so Kazu is probably going to one-shot you, try not to get hit. And he was like, yeah, I'm going to just stay out the way or stand back at distance. And that made me feel a little bad. I didn't really mean that necessarily, just, obviously don't be reckless, because Kazu is a secret boss at the very end of single player, so he is quite strong, and if you're not geared properly, he will one-shot you, or at the very least do a bunch of damage. And as you can see by my quite unique, colorful outfit, I am not geared properly at this time. Now, something I do wonder about, I wonder why, so I know, okay, so I kind of know now, I actually answered my own question. I was about to say, I wonder why Kazu sniffs you out, or not sniffs you out, but why the sonic bombs don't work on Kazu. And I was like, oh yeah, he doesn't use his hearing to try to find you like Cephadrome, who's probably also blind, or at least has poor vision, but he uses his nose. He sniffs you out kind of like a shark. And although with those lips, Kazu does look, oh god, like anything but a shark. It's very disgusting. It's actually an ecology video of Kazu eating a Kelpie. And it's in the first Monster Hunter game, this one here, and I've seen it, and I don't want to see it again. But yeah, I just thought my thing is funny about Kazu is almost his entire body is soft and you can just cleave right through it, except his tail. His tail is like the hardest part of his body, and you will just about always bounce out. Not bounce out, bounce off. However, the thing with this situation here is that in this area you can't place a trap, because as you can see the reflections are quite nice, but the way they did it, if you placed a trap down, it would look quite strange. The model would look very strange because they basically reflected the models on top of itself to simulate that reflection, which is a really smart idea. It looks amazing for a PS2 game from 2004, I think it was, or 2003 or something like that. But yeah, the trap, they disabled it in this area because it would kind of look super buggy. But even so, I do think that it does look good. But of course, with this being a capture quest, you kind of want the trap to work, because if the trap doesn't work, you can't really catch a Kazu. So pretty much we have to kind of beat the Kazu down until it's limping and flees to one of the caves and kind of hope we don't kill it, because it's really hard to tell when Kazu limps. He kind of just does 5 or 6 frames of limping, and then he just stops limping and then he flies. So especially in this game, you really have to pay attention to the monsters and how they move, because they could be looking normal 1 second, and then you see a split second of a limp, and it's like, oh, his health is low, let me capture him. Because for something like Kazu, or I think even Gravios or Basarios, it's just they don't really walk a lot. A lot of it is them just either flying or repositioning or just doing like charging attacks and stuff like that. Now, of course, coming into this cave, it is a good idea to use a hot drink, because if you don't use a hot drink, then you will lose stamina a lot more rapidly. Of course, and also the Kazu does crawl on the ceiling. You do need to be mindful, though, whenever you're fighting him normally, you just kind of want to look up above you, or not really look up above you, just kind of see where his drool is dripping down, because it will drip down and that'll indicate where he is. And if you don't move out of the way in time, he will drop on top of you. Now, over here, I did actually forget I had a trap at first that Ice Storm gave me back in the tavern. And so Ice Storm actually pegged Kazu with the tranquilizers to knock him out. And I was worried for a second there that I didn't do enough damage to him, or they healed past the capture threshold. But yeah, thankfully we were able to get that dealt with. And I remember to put the trap down, and it was all happy ending. So yeah, that's pretty much the Kazu. He's very uncomfortable to fight. He has these like lips that makes it look like he's smiling, and I just hate it. Oh, and like I said, in Frontier, I don't know if I said this, in this recording, but in Frontier there is a Zenith version. It's a lot more obvious, the inspiration for Kazu, but yeah, Zenith Kazu, very uncomfortable monster, a lot more so than the Kazu itself, but. Either way, that's pretty much the Kazu fight. I'm sorry if it's scuffed, but Kazu is such a cursed monster that yeah, I guess it is scuffed just in general. But even so, yeah, it's like I unlocked the Bishop room. That's really nice because I made it to the 3-star quest. And I just want to say I am so glad that Asteria has been popping off and getting a whole lot of viewers, because it is also bringing more people into this game, and that's more people to play with, and that's more fun. But even so, I just want to say thank everybody so much for the support I've been getting lately. Thank you guys so much. I can't even fathom why, people would want to watch me, but it's just such a privilege to have an audience that's so wholesome and so kind. It really is amazing. But either way, thank you everybody so much for watching. If you like a video, leave a like on it. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and leave a comment down below if you have any tips for me. Also, Kazu does have the best battle theme in the game. I tried to pump up the in-game audio as much as I could so you could hear it. So yeah, feel free to look it up on YouTube if you can't hear it here. It's pretty amazing song. But either way, if you want to join my Discord, and just check the link in the description below. I do post a notice whenever I go to play with other people. And if you want to support the future of the channel, check out my Patreon, linked in the description below. That way I can avoid the penis monster. Bye now.